What's up guys, my name is Lauren and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going over my family's real numbers for our October 2023 budget. A little bit of housekeeping before I jump right into the spreadsheet. First of all, if you like the spreadsheet that I'm using, it is linked in the video description. However, I do want to let you guys know I am running a sale for Black Friday. It's probably going to be like the whole week of Black Friday. So starting on November 20th, it's going to run through the 26th. It's going to be 25% off of my spreadsheet. And also I have updated it for 2024. It's not actually a 2024 update because the spreadsheet, if you bought it already or if you buy the 2024 version, can be used multiple years, so it's not specific to the year. But after using it for like 3 or 4 months, I've found some things that I thought I could tweak and improve. And so that new version will be available on Monday, November 20th. And if you already bought the 2023 version, you'll actually automatically be grandfathered in to get access to the new one when it launches on the 20th as well. So with all that said, let's jump right into the budget. All right, so here is our October budget, and October was a really good month for us. Just looking at where our money went this month, we were able to send just under 19% of our money to Pay Yourself First. So that's to saving and investing, and we try to aim for at least 15% of our money going towards investing every single month, and that doesn't always happen, but that is our goal. And then to put an additional amount on top of that towards saving for a house. And so this month it was really nice to actually hit that goal because I feel like this year has been a struggle overall. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are feeling it, but life has just continued to get more and more expensive, and it's just, we haven't been able to have these like big months where we really nail it a lot recently. So it was nice to see that. Part of what helped us do this was we had more income than we expected, which again is a really nice thing and doesn't always happen. So let's take a look at our actual numbers. So for income, I have the detailed income like blocked out, but just looking at the monthly summary, you can see we had budgeted for about $13,000 of income, and we actually brought in $14,662. So that was a huge difference. And so let's see where all that went this month. So first of all, for Pay Yourself First, we had budgeted $600 to go to my husband's 401k. That's $300 per paycheck, and we actually sent that. It's automatically set up so it comes out of his paycheck every time he gets paid. So $600 went to my husband's 401k. My Roth IRA is maxed for the year, so we're not sending anything there. And then we were finishing our goal of exercising some stock options that we have through my husband's employer. And so we finished exercising the remaining stock options that we have available to exercise right now. And so that was nice to finish that goal because we've been working on that goal for a while. I can't remember how many months, but we'll look at that in a second because we're also going to look at our annual financial goal progress, which I haven't actually done a video on in a while. So that'll be at the end of the video. And then with the extra money that we brought in, we were able to send $749 to our house fund. If you are new around here, we sold our house back in May, used about half the sale proceeds to pay off our last student loan, and then we put the rest aside for a future down payment, and we are currently renting. So renting is going fine. It's been a little bumpy this month, I'm not gonna lie. There have been some bumps in the road. I'm not gonna get into it because I don't wanna talk about it till we're in a house again or we're out of this apartment or whatever the next move is, but it's been a month. So it's all good. Like, you know, stuff comes up when you rent, you share space with other people, like, you know, it is what it is. But I am super excited and super focused to get into a house. It's just ugly out there right now with the housing market. We live in Massachusetts, and a lot of places is like this right now, but it is so unaffordable. But I'm sure something will work out. I'm saying just really positive, manifesting something really good happening for us in 2024. So that's everything we sent to Pay Yourself First this month. So we had budgeted $2,050 and we sent $2,769. So that was a great month for Pay Yourself First. Almost $3,000 sent to our financial goals. All right, moving on to our expenses and sinking funds. So we'll start with expenses. So we had budgeted $24.08 for taxes, and we actually paid $28.47. So I was a little bit off on that. So we did have a little bit more go to taxes than we had budgeted for. Health insurance, FSA, those things stay the same. Storage, this is actually interesting. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know this whole story. But if you're not following me on Instagram, then you probably have no idea what's going on because I don't think I mentioned it in my last video. If you've never rented a storage unit, consider yourself lucky. Okay, first of all, having stuff in storage sucks because you're paying money just to store stuff that's probably not worth that much money, but there's like a reason you're keeping it, sentimental value, or just maybe you think it's worth it, convenience, you just didn't have enough time to declutter, you're not sure if you're gonna need something. Like, storage just kind of sucks in the first place. Second of all, storage units rent month to month, and that means that they can increase your rent at any time. So after 6 months of having our storage unit, because we have been in this apartment now 6 months, which is crazy, like that just flew by. I can't believe we've been here 6 months. But anyway, our storage unit after 6 months increased our rent by like $56 a month. So it was going up to $258, and that was just too much for me to handle. And so we spent the month of October and the beginning of November completely decluttering that unit, and we downsized from a 10 by 15 foot storage unit to a 10 by 5 foot storage unit. So a third of the size, and our rent is now going down to $120, I think $3 or $126, something around there, $120 or so a month. Obviously, it's still month to month. They're probably going to increase it in the next like several months, and we just know to expect that now. But at least it's not going to be over $250 a month. And we got rid of a bunch of stuff. We sold a bunch of stuff. We did have to hire somebody on TaskRabbit to help us move some things, but that was worth it because there were some things I just physically couldn't lift, just me and my husband. And I just feel so much lighter having gotten rid of all that stuff. So that was a big project in October. I'm really glad we got it done because I knew if we didn't get it done before Thanksgiving, like it wasn't going to happen till January, and I just didn't want to be paying that rent any more months than I had to. And like, I just looked at the calendar. I cannot believe Thanksgiving is in 2 weeks. Like, what happened? Like, I feel like after Halloween, like the rest of the year just goes so fast. So I'm really glad we got this out of the way. So anyway, this will be higher for November because we already had to pay our November rent before we moved our storage unit over. But then in December, it should be $0 because I think we get like a credit. And then it'll be like $120. But that's the deal with storage. So, okay, rent, $32.25. Our life insurance this month is $50. In November, it'll be going up to $82 because I did get a new life insurance policy. I've been talking to you guys about that in my last few budget videos, that I was applying for a new policy, and I used Policy Genius before and I used them again. The experience was great. I'll link it below if you want to check them out for yourself. So I'm really thankful to have that done and set and just have that peace of mind. Internet and cell phone is $115. Home security is $28. Car insurance is $113. Spotify, $11. Groceries. Okay, so I've been doing something interesting with groceries. So we budgeted $1,200, we spent $1,372, but I went back through and I figured out that we spent at least $200 on non-food items. So normally for groceries for us, this is not just groceries, it's like food and household stuff. So any groceries we buy that are food, anything we get from the grocery store or like Target, wherever I'm, getting stuff from, that is not food items like trash bags, dishwasher soap, that type of stuff. And then also any takeout we get. And so, yeah, we spent probably $1,200 on food, but then another like $200 on non-food items. So really, I think $1,200 is enough for us for food. And I think I'm just going to start separating out food and non-food items. And it's a little bit of a hassle, but I've been doing it the past few weeks and it's actually not as much work as I expected it to be. And it just makes me feel better about seeing the numbers. Like, it's reducing my stress around our food budget. So starting in 2024, I think I'm going to separate those out, but I don't want to have to like reconfigure my spreadsheet for the rest of the year. So since there's only like 2 months left, so I'm just going to leave it as is for now and just know that I need to budget probably like $1,400 for this category. We do $300 a week for food, and then we probably need another $200 a month for household items. And I think that's going to be better for us because I've been feeling like we need to up this budget. And I think it's just because some of these like non-food items have gotten really expensive too. Okay, so for gas, we budgeted $225 and spent $217. So that's been pretty good. I did budget a little more for November and December because we're going to be like traveling around to different events and things a lot, and like getting together with family, just like the holidays, you go more places. So I budgeted a little more gas. Utilities, we budgeted $600 and it was $612. Hopefully this will be going down now that we hit fall and now that we changed our utilities to a different provider that charges less. So I think our first billing cycle will be November with the new utility provider. So that'll be good. And then for miscellaneous, we spent $421, even though we budgeted $125. So I made a note of what all those expenses were for. Okay, so I just took a look to remind myself. So I got rid of a bunch of sinking funds earlier this year because I was tired of doing so many sinking funds. And all of these expenses would have fallen under one of our sinking funds. So a bunch were for gifts, some were for medical, and then, wait, I already forgot. What was the other one for? Yeah, everything would have fallen under gifts. A bunch of it, most of it would have been under gifts, and then a little bit under medical. So I'm going to be bringing back those sinking funds. I thought I could like simplify it and it would make my life easier, that we had too many sinking funds. And now that I've like tried it for a couple months, I don't like it. I like having my sinking funds. I like having a really detailed itemized thing to put a category for every expense, and I really prefer to have my miscellaneous expenses be as close to zero as possible. We used to budget $25 a month for miscellaneous and would rarely go over on that because we had everything so like nailed down with our sinking funds. So I think I'm just gonna go back to that. It just makes me feel like more organized, and when I go over budget in a category, I just feel like less in charge of my money versus if I had like just had a sinking fund and had budgeted for those things. So I am going to go back to doing that. All right, so for expenses, we had budgeted $8,982, and we did go quite a bit over at $9,893. About half of that was taxes, so it doesn't really count, but the rest was like actually going over on what we had budgeted. All right, and then for sinking funds, because like I said, we had really simplified things, we didn't have too much going to sinking funds, $150 each for myself, my husband, and my 2 daughters. We send $1,000 to the school and activity sinking fund because my 4-year-old is in preschool, which I'm like counting down the months till she's done and in public school going to kindergarten, and this amount will go way down for a year because I think we're not going to put my younger daughter in preschool until she's 3, just like we did with my older daughter. So we'll have 1 year off where we don't have to pay around $800 a month, so that'll be nice. And then my cat Miles, we put $250 to his sinking fund, and then for birthdays and Christmas, which is just going to Christmas at this point because my daughter's birthdays are done for the year, $150. And so we are on track to have our Christmas sinking fund fully funded by the time Christmas hits, and we don't go into debt for Christmas. So overall, we had budgeted $2,000 for sinking funds, and that is how much we put in. So we are right on budget with our sinking funds. All right, so that's our budget for this month. Let me go over to our annual financial goal progress, and we can take a look. We haven't looked at this in quite a while, so I'm excited to show you guys this. It is new and improved in a few ways. First of all, it is part of the budget dashboard, which is the spreadsheet we've been looking at this whole video. And I did add these pie charts at the top so you can see a visual of how close you are to completing each of your financial goals in the different categories. And then also it is now connected to the monthly budgets. So anytime you make a payment or contribution to one of the categories, make a debt payment, make a contribution to like your 401k or IRA, something like that, it automatically populates in the spreadsheet, and so you don't have to manually enter it in here, and you can just set your goals at the beginning of the year in this column, and then it'll just track them throughout the year for you. So the only downside to that is if I don't film this video before I start budgeting for November, then it starts putting in my November numbers. And so when I go to show you guys what we've done through October, November is already in there. So I'm actually gonna delete out November and just remind myself to undo that because I'm deleting formulas, and so I'll put those back in afterwards. But I'm really loving this spreadsheet, so let me just scroll over so we can see a little more easily where we are. So we are in October, and let's see what we've done for the year so far. So for October, we brought in $14,662. This is gross income. We budget off our gross income. You don't have to do it this way. I just like to, so it includes any pre-tax like retirement contributions like to my husband's 401k. So total this year, we have brought in $219,654 kind of. When we sold our house and we used money to pay off debt, I did include that as like income to us for the year, even though that wasn't like earned income, it was just from the sale of our home. So in May, our income was $98,000 rather than our normal like $12,000 to $14,000. And so that's why it's so high, but really we're gonna hit more like 150 to 160,000 for the year in like actual income. But anyway, just in case you forgot or haven't watched me before, that is why that number is so high for the year. I would love to hit over $200,000 of income, like actually earned. But that's not us this year. So total is $219,654. Our goal for the year is $240,000. So we're 92% of the way there, and we are 83% of the way through the year. So we should definitely hit that by the end of the year. I just went over all these contributions in the budget, so I'm not gonna like go through them again, but we'll look at the year-to-date totals. So $6,300 we've sent to my husband's 401k, and our goal is $7,800. So that is 81% of the way there. So we're basically on track. Actually, November's a 3 paycheck month, so that'll get us back up to like fully on track. That's why it's like a little bit behind. And then for my Roth IRA, like I said, I'm done funding that for the year. The limit for 2023 was $6,500, but I was still funding my 2022 Roth, which you have till tax day of the following year. So we had until April 2023 to fund my 2022 Roth. So that's why it's more than $6,500 for the goal there. So we're all caught up on my Roth contributions. And then in January of 2024, we can start contributing to my 2024 Roth, which that limit has gone up to $7,000 for under 50 years old. So I am definitely planning to max out again and maybe actually contribute to my husband's Roth IRA, which he hasn't opened one yet. And so we're gonna open one for him and start contributing to that. And so I'm looking forward to I'm already like thinking ahead towards 2024 goals. Obviously, like you guys know, I plan ahead. So I'm looking forward to kind of like the reset in the new year for those things. And I'll be doing a video sharing our 2024 financial goals probably sometime in December. And then for stock options, we had set a goal of 4,400. We thought that's how much we had, but it was only 4,370 and everything's exercised. So we hit that goal. It says 99%, but we're done with that. And then for our house fund, this actually used to say emergency fund, but I changed it to house fund because, we put a little bit of money in our emergency fund earlier this year, but now everything extra is just going to the house fund. And they're basically one and the same because it's just a big pile of money. And when we get a down payment, okay, I just got a phone call from my doctor to schedule. I'm going to start pelvic floor physical therapy. I had my annual physical and I mentioned to my doctor that sometimes I pee when I sneeze because of having kids. And she said, oh, we can like help you with that. Like you should go to physical therapy. I was like, okay, that'd be a good idea. So anyway, back to remembering where I was. So we've sent $32.49 to our pile of money that's our house fund and emergency fund. We're trying to decide how much of an emergency fund we want to have when we buy a house to decide like what portion of that can be down payment, and just watching the market and seeing like what we can realistically buy. It's honestly like I had a moment a few days ago where I just looked back on Zillow. There's a house for sale in our town that's beautiful, 4 bedrooms, like 2,500 square feet with a pool. And I looked back on Zillow, and in 2020, it was $600,000. And now it's like just under $1 million. And like $600,000 is in our price range, but $1 million is not. And it was just like a little bit heartbreaking because like this is the type of house that we could have afforded. But back in 2020 was like January 2020 was day one of our debt-free journey. So we were in no place to buy a house then. And we had no idea what our life was going to look like. We weren't ready to commit to moving up in house. We were perfectly happy and content where we were. We had a baby that was less than a year old. We didn't have 2 kids. Like we weren't working from home at that time. Like it just, life was different. So we weren't ready to upgrade. But anyway, pay yourself first for the year. We have contributed $23,569 on our goal of just over $24,000. So we're definitely going to hit that. I think by the contribution we already made this month, we are already over that amount. So the other goal we had was for expenses and sinking funds, and this amount does include taxes. So our goal was to spend less than $135,000 on expenses, sinking funds, taxes, all of that, basically anything that wasn't going towards financial goals. And we are at $127,608. So that is 95% of our goal. So we are going to go over on this goal, but I'm still pretty impressed with how we did on our spending this year, considering everything that's gone on in the economy. I'm not really too surprised or disappointed that we're going to go over on this. So that is at 95% a goal. Also, we are trying to put 40% or more of our money to our financial goals this year, and we're at 46, so that's great. And we've only put 58% of our money towards expenses and sinking funds and taxes. So overall, this year is going really well based on our goals. I was like thinking about this the other day. When I feel frustrated about where we are financially, it's not because we're not hitting our goals. Like, I've looked at what we can realistically accomplish and we're accomplishing those things. The problem is what we can realistically accomplish is still not enough to meet the bigger goals that we have, like buying a house. So we could stretch our budget and just go for it, but I just really don't want to be in that position. But I also like don't want to stay in this apartment for longer than we have to. So I'm trying to just kind of like live life in the moment and not worry too much about it. I don't think anything's gonna happen through the end of the year. My husband is working on a promotion, and that we should find out like end of this year, beginning of next year. And so that is something that is going to affect obviously like how we make our financial decisions. I'm working on growing my business still, and like I had a really good month in October and I hope to have another good month in November, but it's just so up and down. It's not something I can rely on totally at this point. Like, it's still too new. And even with that, like, I was thinking about it. I listened to the Money Guy show. I don't know if you guys have watched them on YouTube or listened to their podcast or whatever, but I've been doing YouTube, like, all in with YouTube and Instagram, and now I'm doing TikTok too, and like just my personal finance business working for myself for just over 2 years now. And he said a lot of times it takes 3 years to like really get a business going. So before I heard him say that, I was kind of feeling like demotivated with my business this year, just thinking like, why isn't this like growing faster? But then I heard him talking about that and I was like, okay, maybe I need to give myself a little more time, and maybe for like this type of business even more time, because I'm doing it so part-time. So I think like I'm gonna give myself a good 5 years with it. By then, if it's not growing into something that's gonna really change my family's life in a significant way, then I'll have to reevaluate whether the time I'm spending is worth the amount of money I'm making. But I hope I look back on this video a year from now and laugh and being like, oh, Lauren, you thought it wasn't gonna like grow, but it actually like grew way more than you ever expected. So I'm manifesting that as well, and hoping that that will help us get to our goal of owning a home. I think the key with it for me is being hopeful and optimistic, but not expecting or counting on anything to happen, like with my business. So that was a little off-topic ramble, but I just have had these thoughts like kind of roaming around in my head. And I know a lot of you who watch me are also like content creators yourself or have your own business, so I thought maybe you could relate to some of the things I'm going through. So that is it for October budget. Like I said, if you want to get this spreadsheet for yourself, then it'll be linked in the video description. Although it is going on sale in a couple weeks, I will post something in my YouTube feed when the sale is live and when the 2024 version is live. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, as always, give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more from me, hit that red subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.